CGC had a giant announcement this week. I'm not going to bore you with all the details, nor am I going to scream at you and tell you that CGC has killed their company and all this stuff, because I just think that that's stupid. Overall, I feel like the announcement was actually quite good, but there was one glaring problem. Just one. I think a lot of people were excited initially because it looked like the 9.5 grade was moving up into Gem Mint 10, and then the 9.5 grade wasn't going to exist. But then after the announcement, everyone started to figure out that actually there is going to be a 9.5 grade, but it's a brand new grade called 9.5 Mint Plus. Keeping the 9.5, I think, is the one thing that held this announcement back in terms of how good it truly could have been. The announcement about the grading scales seemed to almost say, like, we understand that PSA's grading scale is the grading scale that people like the most. People like to see 10 on their 10 worthy cards. And up until this point, I feel like a lot of people's biggest problem with CGC were the half grades, especially the 8.5, obviously, that's become like the meme, but the 9.5, because it feels like 10 worthy cards were getting 9.5 grades. It felt like a nice little fallback for the grader in case it was kind of on the line, they could fall back to a 9.5 instead of committing to give it a 10. So everyone was understandably excited when it looked like the 9.5 was going away until we realized that it wasn't. But what makes even less sense to me is how it fits into the new grading scale, and when they were asked about it, how they tried to justify keeping it. CGC's grading scale right now includes the Mint 9, the Gem Mint 9.5, the Pristine 10, and the Perfect 10. With these new changes, the Perfect 10 will come off, so that moves the Pristine 10 to the top of the grading scale, and you'll also get a unique label with the Pristine 10 that I think looks pretty nice. In the new scale, the Gem Mint 9.5 becomes the Gem Mint 10. They then add a 9.5 Mint Plus to the scale, and then the Mint 9 will stay the Mint 9. Seems pretty straightforward, but this doesn't make sense, and here's why. Because the 9.5 is becoming the Gem Mint 10, and the Mint 9 is staying the Mint 9, you'd have to justify that there was a wide enough variance in condition between your already Mint 9 and your Gem Mint 9.5 that you have in your current scale. That there's enough variance in that 0.5 of a grade to include a whole nother grade. If you've seen Mint 9s of CGC and Gem Mint 9.5s of CGC, you know that there is no way that there is enough of a variance to inject another grade into that spot. When asked about this change on the live stream Q&A that they did, the response that they gave was basically the scale would look weird without a 9.5 because it has half grades all the rest of the way down, but it would look weird without the 9.5 rounding out the scale. Which to me, that's kind of a dumb answer because everyone's used to PSA scale and PSA does that. PSA doesn't have a 9.5 and it has half grades all the way down. Usually they don't use those half grades, but they also just don't have a 9.5. So everyone's already used to the biggest grading company that grades Pokemon already having a scale that doesn't have one of the half grades in it. So the idea that, oh, the grading scale just looks weird without the 9.5, that just doesn't logically follow. It doesn't make sense, and it's not a good justification to just manufacture another grade into that tiny little condition variance between your already existing 9 and your already existing 9.5. So in my opinion, I liked everything else about this announcement, but that was the one thing where I was just like, why would they keep that? It doesn't make any sense. It's definitely a thing that maybe they included because it didn't look well-rounded without it, but at the same time, hopefully they don't use it very much. Hopefully it doesn't become a fallback to not give out as much 10s. It seems like they're putting a focus on people getting 10s and that Gem Mint grade being used a lot more. Hopefully they'll give out a lot more 10s and not fall back on the 9.5 as much as they have in the past. Those are my thoughts. Again, I like the rest of the changes. I like the labels. I like everything else. If you want to hear someone scream about how CGC just killed their company, there's a lot of videos out there for you, but you're not going to find it here because I think the rest of the changes make sense. Just keeping the 9.5. What are you doing?